Welcome to the Press Box. We are here live in the DSTV studio at Duquesne University, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm Don Ferro, joined with Camden Oyler, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about the 2021 Major League Baseball season. Of course, opening day is right around the corner. Thursday, April 1st, we'll be kicking off with some great games. Let's just talk about opening day first. Camden, what game are you looking forward to most on that opening day slate?
Opening day, one of the most exciting days of the year in the sports world if you're a baseball fan. And I'm kicking it off right at the start of the day. The AL East battle, the Toronto Blue Jays head into the Bronx to play the AL favorites in the New York Yankees. That Blue Jays team is looking on the come up this year, adding George Springer in the offseason. The pitching looks good over there, but it's not going to be easy, like I said, in that division, which is looking like one of the toughest divisions in baseball. And in this series, you're going up against the number one team in that division, in the New York Yankees. But once we get Garrett Cole out of the way and we get to some different pitchers in this series, I think you're going to see a lot of offense, and I think you're going to see a lot of runs, a lot of action in the end of this series, which is what baseball fans nowadays love to see. So.
And we'll talk about the Yankees in a little bit, but the game that I'm looking forward to the most on this opening day, beautiful April 1st, is going to be in the NL. It's going to be the Mets at the Nationals. The Mets, who've been down and out for the last couple of seasons, they're back with a new owner, and it looks like he's willing to fork over some money to make this team a World Series contender. So for the Mets, we got Jacob deGrom going against Max Scherzer, two studs of pitchers. This is going to be an amazing matchup. The MLB has this one at 7:09 p.m., so this is the premier matchup on opening day. Of course, the Mets have tons of studs. Pete Alonso, young Pete Alonso, of course, the big home run hitter. They got some other studs, Francisco Lindor, who they picked up. And then we go over to the Nationals, who won a World Series just less than 2 years ago, who recently acquired Josh Bell from the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think he'll add a little bit of power that they lost when Bryce Harper left the team a few years ago. So that's the matchup I'm looking forward to. Let's look forward into the future. Let's give our predictions for the World Series. What teams do you think will be able to make a run this season?
Very early World Series prediction. Obviously, anything can change, but right now, I think you've got to be looking at one of those big dogs out of the NL, being either the Los Angeles Dodgers, who own basically every pitcher in baseball, and then the San Diego Padres, who hold every other pitcher in baseball. Both these teams in the same division with stacked rotations, 5 guys deep who would be aces on some teams in the league. It's going to be a battle down the stretch, especially in the NL, with probably 4 teams that could really bring it out in adding the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets into that. So I think it's all going to be about who can stay healthy throughout the season, who can make sure everybody is there for most of the season to be able to get those wins, to get the best seeds in the playoffs, and then it's just going to be about who can execute, who can put their new rosters together and make them fit, because chemistry is a huge thing in baseball. You're going to see it in the pitching rotation. The Dodgers have a new pitcher in Trevor Bauer who has caused some problems where he's been recently. So we're going to have to see if he can fit in there with the big lifestyle there in Los Angeles. But if I had to pick one out of the NL, I'm going to San Diego Padres. I think they have a lot of underrated pitchers who are still very good in the league, like Blake Snell, Mike Clevenger, who they received from the Indians at the end of the season last year, and Joe Musgrove from your Pittsburgh Pirates is now there as well. I think he's got a lot of stuff that can confuse some hitters. So they're who I'm taking out of the NL, and facing them out of the American League, I think the only correct answer so far is, unfortunately, the New York Yankees. Being an Orioles fan, it hurts me to say that, but if they can stay healthy, the power on the offensive side of the ball there is going to put up runs no matter who's pitching to them, no matter how tough their division is. They're going to be a tough out. So I'm going San Diego Padres, New York Yankees, and I'm taking the Padres getting their revenge for getting knocked out last year, taking the pennant home. What are you going with, Dom?
I love the Padres answer, but I think the Dodgers are just too stacked this year. They've got
It can go either
the
way.
best rotation in the league by far. No one's even close. Of course, though, I do think it's going to be the Yankees out of the AL. I'm sorry to break it to you, but the Yankees have the money, they have the resources, They re-signed DJ LeMahieu, the contact hitter. He's reliable. But they also add Jamison Tyon, Corey Kluber. So those are two new pieces to this roster that will really help them moving forward in the postseason. But one team you didn't mention was the runner-up in last year's World Series, the Tampa Bay Rays, from the same division as the Yankees. So you're kind of sleeping on them. They did lose Blake Snell to the Padres, as you mentioned.
And Charlie Morton to the Braves.
But they got a young team.
They do.
They have a very young team. And I think they're going to be around for the next couple of years. And another young team out of this division, the Blue Jays. The fan favorite, Vlad Guerrero Jr. Everyone loves to watch him. I'm excited to see what he can do this year. My next question for you, though, what is your MVP prediction for this season?
My
Is it Mike
MVP
Trout?
prediction.
Is it the greatest player in the last 50 years?
I would love to say Mike Trout, but I think with how the MVP award is viewed, I think him being on a below average team is going to hurt him. So I'm going with kind of a sleeper, a team that you already mentioned for your opening day matchup over in Washington. I think Juan Soto is going to walk out this year with the MVP. The power on that guy is ridiculous. His contact is there, so you can move him around the lineup wherever you need him. If he can stay healthy and he can really put that Washington Nationals team back in the World Series conversation, I think you definitely got to be looking at him for MVP. And I think you got to look at Tatis as well. If he can return to the bubble that we saw him break out as a superstar in this league after getting his new contract, I think he's definitely going to be looking to prove the haters wrong and show that he is not a one season fluke. He's going to come out and try to prove that he is going to be one of the best to play this game.
I agree with the Fernando Tatis thing a lot. I'd love to see him be the MVP because I think he's a future star in the league. But we can't forget about the current stars right now. Mike Trout, of course, like I said, the greatest baseball player in this era. No one's even close. But then the most athletic player in the MLB at the current moment, Mookie Betts. You can't sleep on Mookie Betts. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's going to do big things this season. So that's going to be my pick for MVP. Mookie Betts, the MVP of the year. As for Cy Young, that's a tricky one.
Cy Young's tough.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say Garrett Cole, the former Pittsburgh Pirate, the former first overall pick. He's gonna be the Cy Young this year. He's gonna get it done.
I'd like to say I like it, but I can't talk about a Yankee like that. But Cy Young is tough. The talent in the league right now at the starting pitching spot is crazy with what we're seeing with just how guys are really elevating their velocity and the stuff that they have and confusing hitters. I'm going to the New York Mets. I think Jacob deGrom pulls it out this year. He had a little health problems last year, which kept him out from a couple starts. But, he is also being talked about as one of the best pitchers that we've seen in the last 50 years. His stuff's nasty. He can throw over 100. And, with that offense that they have over there now in New York, it's going to take a lot of pressure off his back to be able to get stops because, they really needed him last year without that offense. But now that they've added the guys that you talked about, I really think a lot of pressure is going to be off his back, and he's just going to be able to do his thing and be able to experiment with some stuff and try to really cement himself as the best pitcher in baseball.
And that brings me up to our last talking point. I think for the World Series prediction, I'm going to go Subway Series. It's back. It's what the MLB needs right now to get the fans back on board. Mets versus Yankees. Winner, Yankees. It's their time. They haven't been in the World Series in a long time. I think they get there this year, and they also win it.
I'd like to say I agree with you, but like I said earlier, I can't say anything good about the Yankees. But the Padres, I think that pitching is just gonna be too much, and I think we're gonna see injury problems from the Yankees. We have Giancarlo Stanton, who has proved that health is a problem for him. Judge has been out for a lot through his career. I think LeMahieu's going to have to really step up if those guys go down again like they did last year. And we're really going to have to see, what does Corey Kluber still have left in the tank? What can Tillerson still do on the mound in a New York Yankees uniform? So
you're forgetting about the best player on the Yankees, though, Gleyber Torres.
The best what?
Yankees.
Is
Best
it?
player on the Yankees.
That's a bold statement.
I think that's the correct statement.
I mean, I'm talking way too much good about the Yankees. I like Gleyber Torres. He's a solid player in this league. I think, again, he's going to be one of those guys that's going to need to step up if the Yankees have injury problems like they've had for what feels like forever in a row now. So, and I think you're going to need to see a bounce back season from Gary Sanchez as well. He really dropped off last season when his role needed to be bigger with both Stanton and Judge out. So it's all going to have to be about the puzzle pieces coming together for the New York Yankees. And the last couple of years, they've just been missing a piece or two there, or they lose one. When you're doing a puzzle, they lose a piece and then you can't complete the puzzle. So I think they're all going to have to be there for the Yankees to be able to pull it out, especially against these big dog pitching rotations that we now have in the National League.
All right, that'll wrap up our coverage of the MLB 2021 season. We will see you next October when the stage is set for the playoffs, and we'll see who's right and who's wrong. But until then, enjoy the baseball, enjoy your summer. Thank you for tuning in to the Press Box.